Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
WMAL.
5:07. It's Friday and we're in love. Thanks for joining us here on the 9th day of January. It's O'Connor and Company 2026 edition. Good morning. Coming up later today during our morning conversation at 6:35, Mark Mix is going to join us, president of the National Right to Work Foundation. Also at 7:05, Jonathan Fahey, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE, former acting director of ICE. We'll talk about what it's like on the ground right now for those brave federal law enforcement officers. Then at 8:05, one of our faves, he's the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. Congressman Jim Jordan just had an important hearing about the Minnesota fraud scandal, and spoiler alert, they immediately sent criminal referrals to the Justice Department for Tim Walz and Keith Ellison. So we'll get the latest from Mr. Chairman Jim Jordan. Patrice, I don't want you to be shocked. I know you're kind of a formal young lady. Chairman Jordan will not be wearing a jacket. He will be in his shirt sleeves for the interview. So just prepare yourself.
Shirt sleeves? Is he not in the office today? I mean...
do you know Jim Jordan? That's what he does. He will only put that jacket on when it's absolutely necessary. It's his signature. It's his trademark.
Okay, we'll let it slide. I mean, he's an important man.
People don't know this. Patrice Onwuka has very specific demands. I'm actually in a full tuxedo right now for the program.
But you're missing the ascot, which, I'm pretty sure we asked that be put in your contract, Larry.
That's not in winter
Friday
months.
ascot.
That's only after Memorial Day. Now, come on. You're not going to mess with my sartorial splendor. Good morning, Patrice Onwuka, and good Friday to you.
Good morning and happy Friday, Larry.
How are you? I've had a terrible week.
It's been well.
I know we're supposed to be morning show, happy peppy, everything's great. Now this has been an awful week. I hate
it's a tough week in lots of ways. But hey, listen. I would just say that I thought I had fully recovered from the flu, and I still have residual cough. And I woke up and I felt like sinus issues. And my husband too. We were like, what kind of strain of flu is going around right now? This is 2 weeks now, and I should not be feeling this way.
You have little kids in the house. That just goes with the territory. You get every kind of bug. Even if they don't get it, maybe. They carry it to you.
Maybe.
But I hear you. It's just maddening. I hate news cycles like this where funny thing about social media and about our ability to think for ourselves with our own brains, we all have access to multiple angles and multiple videos of the shooting in
very
Minnesota.
Easily.
We can all see with our own eyes exactly what happened. Mm-hmm. And then you suddenly see how the news media is covering the exact same thing that you're looking at. And here's Washington Post headline yesterday. ICE agent was not in the vehicle's path when he fired at driver, video shows. But the video literally shows exactly the opposite of that. Not only was the ICE agent in the path, but he got clipped. He got hit by the car.
Yeah. Well,
and so this is what it just drives me insane when I can see with my own eyes exactly what is obviously true. And then people like the Washington Post and CNN will get out there and scream from the rooftops the exact opposite and tell me that what they're telling me is true. What are we to do with that?
Well, because they're being disingenuous. There are multiple, at least two prominent videos. They're choosing to show one where it's a little bit more unclear. That I'm sure everyone has seen the angle where it's from behind the vehicle, and so you
where
see
the other
two
police
ICE
officer
agents,
at
and then you
the
kind of
window.
see the third agent who does get hit. But there's another video. I actually saw the other video first on social media before I saw the widely distributed one, which is taken from, I would probably the front, a few yards away, but you see the front of the vehicle and you actually see the officer ICE agent being hit by the vehicle. They're not playing that clip, and it's frustrating. I agree with you. They're doing these frame by frame, slow, going through the videos frame by frame, but they only want to show you the one video. They don't want to show you the other one, which is very much, shows exactly that this woman hit the ICE agent.
You're right, and you're way too kind to say they're being disingenuous. They're lying. That's what they're doing. They're lying because they're not dumb. They're not dumb. They know what they're doing, and they are purposely saying, don't tell that story, tell this story instead. They will also say, and CNN even had what they called an eyewitness on the air yesterday, who said, oh, yeah, that agent wasn't, in front of the car, when they were at the same time playing a video that showed the agent in front of the car. And no one on CNN said, well, ma'am, I understand you were there and you saw it, but how do you square what you're saying with what we're seeing on the video? No, they just let her spew her lies. And then there's the other story that you hear about the victim here. And yesterday I expressed it. It's tragic that any person has to die. She didn't have to die. If she had just done what all people in a civilized society does, which is, follow the orders of law enforcement. When they tell you to do something, you comply. And even if you don't agree with the law enforcement officer, you comply with what they're telling you to do. And then you sort it out later. That's what we all tell our kids. That's what we all do.
We do.
But she didn't do that. We were told that she was just a Minnesota mom who was concerned about ICE in her neighborhood, and that she was just going to, she had just gone to drop off her child at school. Well, now the New York Post has done some journalisming here, and we've learned quite a bit more. The headline is, Renee Nicole Good was Minneapolis ICE Watch warrior who trained to resist feds before shooting. Renee Nicole Good, the mom who was killed by a federal agent after veering her car toward him, was an anti-ICE warrior and was part of a group of activists who worked to document and resist the federal immigration crackdown in Minnesota, the Post can reveal. Good moved to the city last year. She's not a Minneapolis mom. She just got there for the specific reason to tinker with ICE. Linked up with the anti-ICE activist through her 6-year-old son's woke charter school, which boasts that it puts social justice first and prioritizes involving kids in political and social activism. 6-year-old kid was put into a school that trains children to be social activists.
Yeah.
She was a warrior. She died what was right, a mother named Lisa, whose child attends the same school, told the Post. I know she was doing the right thing. I watched the video plenty of times, but I also know in my heart the woman she was. She was doing everything right. Good and her wife, Rebecca, 40, were raising the boy together in the mostly working-class, activist-heavy neighborhood of South Minneapolis, which, by the way, is not where the shooting took place. This was not her neighborhood. She was there because she was pursuing ICE, which features tree-lined streets and a large number of homes with windows decked out in LGBTQ flags or signs depicting George Floyd. Just as many others did in the lefty enclave, Good sent her son to Southside Family Charter School, a K-5 academy opened in 1972, which has from its inception been unabashedly dedicated to social justice education. It was through her involvement in the school community that Good became involved in ICE Watch, a loose coalition of activists dedicated to disrupting ICE raids in the sanctuary city. More on this and more of Patrice's observations, because I'm at my limit on this. So, Patrice, take over in a second. First, though, 5:15 WMAL.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
So she's a trained social justice warrior who is part of a group called ICE Watch. They call themselves warriors disrupting ICE activities, which is exactly what she did. That was not her neighborhood. She's not a Minnesota native. She had just moved there within the last year with her lesbian wife, and she put her 6-year-old into academy that teaches young children to be social justice activists. And also, add to that, the Minneapolis NPR station has been doing reports and publishing stories teaching citizens how to disrupt ICE activities, including this little nugget from one of the published reports on the website. If you're a U.S. citizen observer and you're detained by ICE, ICE has no authority over you. ICE agents under the law are allowed to temporarily detain someone until they're able to verify their immigration status. But just remember that you have the right to document and observe ICE officers. You could interpret that to think, oh, these cops aren't officially here. They have no jurisdiction, so I can ignore their reports. NPR is culpable in this woman's behavior, in my opinion, because of that misinformation. Boys and girls, you don't listen to NPR. You listen here. So Uncle Larry's going to tell you something. If a uniformed officer at the local, state, or federal level tells you to get out of your car, you have your hands where they can see them, and you get out of that car, and nothing bad will happen. All right, Patrice, go ahead. I'm done with this.
Amen. Amen. Listen, I said this last year, and I'm going to keep saying this every time we see these instances. The left makes martyrs out of misfits. This was not just an everyday Minnesota mom, just like Kilmar Abrego Garcia was just not just a Maryland man. These are people who are, she was involved in an operation to disrupt what are really important operations. This gets lost in the reporting, folks. Who ICE are picking up are not just random people who are at the Home Depot looking for day work, day laborers. These are criminals who are involved in sexual crimes against children, against women, who are involved in violent crimes against the people in the neighborhoods in which they're hiding. So, when you're a leftist and an agitator, a paid agitator or a voluntary agitator, what you are saying is that you would rather have the child molesting, women raping, violent burglar, murderer stay in a community that you don't live in, by the way, but stay in a community just to make a point. It's nonsensical, but that's where we're at. About a year ago, Larry, if you remember, we're both Tesla owners. Maybe early last year, what were we worried about?
Oh,
the
in
leftist
March?
Violence. Exactly. Yeah. The protests and the riots and the destruction of a Tesla property. My husband's car was vandalized one day. We realized it when there was red paint thrown on the front of our bumper. This is what the left continues to deteriorate. And it goes from just a little bit of property damage now to trying to obstruct law enforcement from doing their jobs and actually keeping immigrant communities safe, both those who are here illegally and those who are legally here. So, and it's going to get worse, and that's what I worry about. I worry that this is just the start. It's sad that this lady saw the end of her life in this way. She put herself in the situation. She behaved the way that she did and reacted the way that she did in the situation, and the situation played out. But the message should not be to everybody else, up the ante. Do what she did times 10. It should be to dial it back. And unfortunately, we don't even have any policymakers or politicians on the left willing to dial it back because these activists are doing their dirty work and they like it.
Patrice, that last point needs to be amplified. And if I may, where was the Democrat elected official yesterday in front of a camera with a microphone saying, guys, I agree with you.
Knock it off.
Same side.
Why weren't they saying knock it off?
Trump is a problem. ICE is a problem. The enforcement of our immigration laws are a problem. But we've got to stop directly engaging with these ICE agents and these Border Patrol agents who are doing their job on the ground. That this is not going to end well. We've got to tamp this down. They're going to continue to do their duty. Rely on your representatives to fight on your behalf. And yes, take to the streets, peacefully protest, but do not engage directly with these ICE agents. Where was that Democrat official yesterday saying those words? Nowhere to be found. In fact, they're amping up their rhetoric and they're encouraging more people. That's why I want to say, because it drives people nuts when it's like, this is objective fact. So why do you have to be blue team, red team to see it differently? Whenever there's somebody who is not necessarily a red state MAGA hat wearing conservative comes out and says something that makes sense, I want to amplify it. Here's Stephen A. Smith. I know he's a sports guy. He's also a podcaster, and he comments on things like this. And I got to hand it to him. Here he was on his podcast after looking at the same video. Cut one.
I saw the video on numerous occasions. And seeing what transpired from a lawful perspective as it pertains to a law enforcement official don't expect him to be prosecuted. He was completely justified.
There you go. That's it. Now you can continue to say he was justified. Still, he shouldn't have done it. It would have been best if it didn't happen. I wish he had made a different choice. Sure, you can second guess that stuff, but don't you dare go out there and do what these other people says. Well, clearly, it's obviously murder. That's what they're saying. And now they're doxing this cop, Patrice. So I mean, you have Stephen A. Smith. Once in a while, he can get things right, and I applaud him for that.
I mean, he gets things right a lot more than we would give him credit for. Just like Senator John Fetterman. Stephen A. Smith, though, has been one of the many and a growing number of celebrities, people in the sports world and the entertainment world who were fed up with I almost said BS. I'm so sorry. I almost not the word, but just the acronyms. I think I just said it.
I think
but
you just
fed up
did, dear.
with
That's all right.
trying to toe the line of and abide by the narratives when the narratives do not hold true. When the narratives are actually more destructive to the outcomes that we want to see. What's the outcome? Help save communities. Whatever that looks like. And the narrative, unfortunately, on the left is more important than the actual outcome.
It's 5:23.
All right, coming up, we started in Minnesota. Let's head over to Portland. We've got to Tehran. We've got some updates on what's going on across the world. Stay with us. It's O'Connor and Company at 5:30.
WMAL FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. WMAL. News now. Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company. WMAL.
It's 5:37. Good morning. It's Friday, so, we're almost there, January 9th, and we've got a good conversation across the next 3.5 hours. Starting at 6:35, we'll have Mark Mix join the fun. He's with National Right to Work. Also at 7:05, Jonathan Fahey, former acting director of ICE. And then 8:05, Congressman Jim Jordan of Ohio. It's Larry O'Connor with Patrice Onwuka. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning, Larry. Did you see I'm keeping to my New Year's resolution? Remember we discussed this.
Oh, that's Fridays. Right. Only at the top of the hours. Boy, it's a really tall order, too. Yeah. For those of you who missed, Patrice's big commitment for the new year is only to say Happy Friday at the top of the hour, each hour. A resolution she broke the very first day she made it, by the way.
It was an accident. You know how resolutions go.
Always an accident. Yesterday we had another shooting of an agitator. Actually, in this case, it wasn't a protester. This was a violent gang member, illegal alien criminal. So, of course, the left is up in arms. I mean, this is their base. This is their voting base. This one happened in Portland, Oregon. By the way, can I just first of all, thank God we have great law enforcement officers who are still doing their jobs. In this case, it was U.S. Border Patrol agents. They were going after what they call a targeted vehicle stop. They knew who was driving the car. They knew it was a bad hombre.
Okay.
They pulled them over. The driver was a suspected Venezuelan gang member. They attempted to weaponize their vehicle and run over the agent. Sound familiar, everybody?
It does.
The agent fired a defensive shot, and the driver as the driver and the passenger drove away. Portland police said in a statement that the shooting took place near a medical clinic in the eastern part of the city. 6 minutes after arriving at the scene and determining federal agents were involved, police were informed that two people with gunshot wounds, a man and a woman, were asking for help at a location about 2 miles to the northeast of the medical clinic. Police said they applied tourniquets to the man and woman who were taken to a hospital. Their condition was unknown. Why didn't they just, release them to the wild, right? I mean, after all, it's just an Oregon man. Now, that's what happened. Yes. And, of course, all the elected officials in Portland up in arms, screaming, get out of here. This is my favorite response to the whole thing. Now, again, you just heard the story. It's very clear. These were Border Patrol agents who targeted a suspected Venezuelan gang member. Let's not forget, this is Tren de Aragua. These are the murderers who have been released into our country, right? So immediately after this incident, here's the statement from Congresswoman Maxine Dexter of Oregon. Headline, Dexter demands ICE end active operations in Portland. Now, I just told you.
Active? Okay.
I just told you that the incident involved 2 Border Patrol agents. And this congresswoman representing Portland in the federal government, in the federal House of Representatives, immediately says, a shooting involving Border Patrol agents, that's it. ICE has to leave. Well, it's a completely different agency.
Yeah.
It wasn't ICE. It was the Border Patrol. They're morons. They don't know. All they know is their slogans. All they know is what's on their pamphlets that get printed by the Soros NGOs.
Yeah, the morning talking points that get sent to every Democrat and frankly, every news outlet, which is why you hear the very same lines used by TV hosts as are used by members of Congress. Let me just sweeten things about these 2 people, illegal aliens who were arrested. They were involved in a prostitution ring and were involved in a recent shooting in the city of Portland. So this man and this woman were part of the reason why Portland is less safe. Engaging in prostitution rings, it'd be interesting to know if the victims were all adults or whether they included teenage girls, teenage boys for that matter, young kids. And frankly, shooting in the city, I mean, that makes everyone less safe. But again, I said it in the last hour, and I will say it every time we have these stories. Yep. The left makes misfits martyrs out of misfits, and they're going to defend people who are causing disruption and crime rather than the people who are trying to solve it and stop it.
They do that and then immediately demonize the people who are trying to bring law and order and peace and end the prostitution ring, end the drug dealing, and the violent gangs. Here is
human trafficking.
Here's the governor of Oregon.
We are standing here today united as a state, wanting peace and safety in our communities. We are all shaken and outraged by another terrible, unnecessary, violent event instigated by the reckless agenda of the Trump administration.
So they want peace in their communities and they hate the reckless violence in their streets. But you're blaming federal law enforcement for it. An illegal alien gang member tries to flee the police, tries to run over the cop, gets shot in response, and they assemble and demonize the good guys.
You know,
this is the civilizational difference we have right now in our country.
I believe that this is why Congress, why their approval ratings are worse than the gum under your shoe, worse than the gum under your child's desk in school. It's because no one takes them seriously other than the radical, rabid protesters that are being paid to take them seriously. Regular folks look objectively at these situations and say, no, gang members, prostitution rings, shootings, I mean, those are bad people we need to take off the streets. I don't care what their immigration status is.
I hope you are right. I pray that you are right. We've got more on this growing story here in America, circa 2026, where it's pretty clear between right and wrong, in my opinion. At 7:05, Jonathan Fahey, former ICE acting director, will join us. And at 8:05, chair of the Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan. Right now it's 5:43.
Later this morning on the Chris Plante Show, the Democrats in Minnesota are taking Minneapolis from Mogadishu status to Ouagadougou status in record time. 9 a.m. on WMAL.
Did he say Ouagadougou?
Yeah, I can't get that out.
Is that a city in Somalia? I don't know.
I have no idea.
I like it, though. I like the sound of it. Ouagadougou. It is 5:48. The massive protests in Iran continue, including last night in the capital city of Tehran. This is what I've been sort of holding my breath and waiting for, because there's over 60 cities across that massive country has seen protests in the streets of varying sizes and passion. But the capital city, up until now, has not seen anything massive. Little spot protests here and there. But listen to the sound of the Persian street last night. Cut 2. Absolutely unbelievable, phenomenal images coming out of Tehran. The videos were incredible. Also, there were fires set burning down government buildings, tearing down iconic symbols of the Islamic Republic of Iran's government. These are the biggest crowds you've seen since the revolution of the late 70s.
Wow.
These videos showed them chanting "Death to the dictator, death to the Islamic Republic." Many of them taking up chants in support of the crown prince who would step in as Shah. I'm left speechless sometimes because this is my entire reality has been this totalitarian government. This feels like the Berlin Wall coming down in the late 80s,
I
early
hope
90s.
So. This would be an example of, the first time we saw protests some years ago in Iran, and we thought that would have been enough, that it would have been enough to break the regime, and it wasn't. But this time around, because I think the economic toll has been so protracted, and it's so deep. You now have the GDP turning down. Inflation is over 40% in Iran. The people cannot get public services. At some point, people reach a breaking point, particularly when they see that they could be doing better, and because they know that the resources and the wealth exist, it's just held in the corrupt hands of the regime.
Yeah. The currency is absolutely plummeting now. Whatever currency they use there in Iran is basically worthless. The entire society is breaking down. The only thing that has kept it together was the iron fist of the mullahs and their secret police that enforce the radical totalitarian religious laws that they've implemented for the last several decades. The Iranian government tried to shut down access to the internet. We have seen in the past Elon Musk has deployed the Starlink system in cases like this. I have not seen from him whether that's going to happen here or not. I suspect it will. According to a Norway-based NGO that covers, it's called, Iran Human Rights, it's called. They say that 45 demonstrators have now been killed by the Iranian security forces. President Trump did put out a post on Truth Social about 10 days ago that said if the government did that, then the U.S. would begin to be more engaged than, well, who knows how engaged they are already without us even knowing it, because Lord knows we do have operatives on the ground there. We have people who are on our side that the CIA have been developing for decades. We'll see where this goes, but my spidey sense tells me that this is it. This is the one.
You think this is going to be the time?
Everything is in place and sort of lined up. And Iran has so isolated themselves in the Middle East that their nearest ally, the only ally they have at this point, is Russia. And one doubts.
You see where Russia is right now,
with everything going on right now and with what just happened in Venezuela, which was also basically a Russian-Chinese satellite state, one hesitates to bet that Vladimir Putin would throw down, and said that the most support that he would give right now, in my opinion, to the Iranian regime it would be access and exile to the top leaders to get them out of there as the government falls. That's my hunch.
That has massive geopolitical implications, and I think the broader story here, not just Iran, but it's that Russia and China, the long game they've been playing in investing in lots of these different countries and trying to stir up trouble, trying to support these violent, brutal regimes. Now they're seeing you have a president who's willing to stand up and take it on, and is not going to. The U.S. is exerting its power to try to create a new equilibrium that actually is about balancing power for everyone, rather than concentrating power in Beijing and in Moscow. That's amazing.
Well said. And if you think the state of the economy is strong right now as a result of the Venezuelan strike, the Venezuelan actions and freeing up of oil on the world market, you free up all that oil coming from the Persian desert, you ain't seen nothing yet. You're talking about an economic boom about to happen.
Absolutely.
And we have indications that that boom has already begun. We'll get to those economic numbers a little later in the show. It's 5:53.